오늘은 해리포터와 마법사의 돌 첫 번째 책이죠. 시리즈의 첫 번째 책 계속하고 있는데요. 오늘은 chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 and 3/4 함께 읽을 시간이에요. 네. 제목부터 네, 우리 조연 작가님이 학교 선생님, 국어 선생님 출신답게 영어권에서 영어 선생님이셨으니까 국어 선생님이셨겠죠. 분수 읽는 법을 우리 친구들이 배웠으면 하는 바람에 이렇게 챕터 6의 제목을 정한 것이 아닌가 생각하고 있어요. The Journey from Platform. Journey from 어디로부터의 여행인가요? 플랫폼인데요. 9 and 3/4 9와 4분의 3 정거장이라고 되어 있네요. 우리가 플랫폼 하면은 정거장이나 전철역, 버스 정거장 이런 데 있죠? 그런 것을 의미해요. 그런데 우리가 9번 승강장, 10번 승강장 이런 말 하는데 어떻게 9와 4분의 3 승강장이 있을까요? 정말 마법 세상은 우리 머글들의 세상과 많이 다른가 봐요. 분수 읽는 법, 우리나라 말과 영어는 어떤 큰 차이점이 있죠? 순서가 매우 달라요. 그래서 순서가 다른 것 때문에 어렵다고 느껴지는 경향이 있어요. 왜냐면 우리 두뇌가 평상시 말하던 순서와 정반대로 말해야 되는 경우가 많아요. 그래서 우리 함께 이 책을 읽고 있는 친구는 이렇게 말했어요. 아니, 이 세상에 영어라는 언어는 날짜를 말할 때도 우리나라 말과 정반대로 하는데 분수도 당연히 반대로 읽겠죠 라는 추측을 했는데요. 네, 정확히 맞았어요. 분수를 읽을 때도 우리말과 영어는 정반대로 읽어요. 그래서 우리는 분모 먼저 읽죠. 엄마 먼저, 그 다음에 아들 이런데 분모 먼저 읽고 분자를 읽는 우리말과 달리 영어는 아들인 분자를 먼저 읽어요. 그래서 분자를 먼저 읽고 분모는 나중에 읽게 되죠. 분자는 먼저 읽으면서 기수로 읽고요. 또 분모는 서수로 읽어요. 와우, 순서도 반대인데 읽을 때 숫자도 다르게 읽네요. 기수와 서수가 무엇인지 많은 친구들이 잘 모르더라고요. 기수는 그냥 기초 숫자라고 생각하면 되고요. 서수는 순서를 의미하는 숫자라고 생각하면 돼요. 네, 기초 숫자, 기수, 순서를 의미하는 숫자, 서수 이렇게 외워두면 되죠. 순서를 의미하는 거 알죠? 너는 몇 번째야? 가족들, 형제 자매들 중에 몇 번째니? 라고. 전 외동인데요. 이런 친구들이 많을 것 같긴 한데요. 네, 오늘 함께 읽고 있는 친구는 4남매나 돼요. 그 중에 첫째거든요. 이렇게 첫째, 둘째, 셋째, 넷째, first, second, third, fourth 이런 아이들이 서수에 해당되죠. 그러면 기수는 뭔가요? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 그런 아이들이 기수죠. 그리고 또 조심할 점이 있어요. 분자가 2 이상이면 반드시 복수형으로 써야 해요. 그래서 9와 4분의 3 승강장에서 3/4 라고 S가 붙어 있는 거 보셨을 거예요. 책 제목에 그렇게 돼 있죠? 3/4 그리고 대분수인 경우에 9와 4분의 3 이런 거 대분수라고 하죠. 큰 분수인가요? 네, 분수 앞에 어떤 자연수가 나와 있어요. 그러면 그 앞에 나와 있는 자연수 다음에 and를 붙여야 돼요. 그래서 9 and 3/4 네, 다시 한번 챕터 6 제목을 볼까요? 챕터 6 제목에 보면 정답이에요. 분수를 읽는 방법. The journey from platform 9 and 3/4 네, and가 붙어 있죠? 그리고 또 주의할 점이라기보다는 2분의 1 그럼 어떻게 읽겠어요? 1 second 4분의 1은 1 fourth 라고 읽겠죠. 그런데 1 대신에 어를 쓸 수도 있고요. 그래서 a second, a fourth 할 수도 있고요. 2분의 1 절반, 반쪽이라는 영어가 있죠. 우리말에도 반쪽이다, 절반이다, 2분의 1이다 이런 표현이 있는 것처럼 영어에서도 a half 라는 반쪽이라는 뜻이 있기 때문에 2분의 1을 a half 라고 읽을 수 있고요. 또 4분의 1쪽이라는 quarter라는 단어가 있어요. 그래서 a quarter 그리고 4분의 3이었으니까 3/4를 썼죠. 네, 어때요 친구들? 분수 읽는 법 이제 잘 할 수 있겠죠? 네, 그러면 한번 시험을 보면 좋겠죠? 네, 그럼 한번 진짜로 테스트를 봐볼까요? 3분의 1, 2분의 1, 5분의 1, 5분의 3, 7분의 2, 8분의 3, 9분의 4 이렇게 써있죠? 네, 잠시 시간을 드릴 테니까요. 이에 대한 답을 한번 써보세요. 3분의 1. 네, 3분의 1 하면 우리는 3 분모부터 읽죠. 그런데 영어는 분자 1부터 읽어요. 그리고 1은 무엇으로 읽는다고 했죠? 네, 기수로 읽고요. 분모에 해당되는 3은 서수로 읽어야 하니까요. 네, 한번 시험 봐보세요. 맞는지 틀리는지. 그럼 정답 함께 살펴볼까요? 3분의 1은 1이 뭐죠? third죠. 그래서 1/3 해도 되고요. a third 해도 맞아요. 그리고 3분의 2는 2/3 s 꼭 붙여야 되고요. 5분의 1은 뭔가요? 1/5겠죠. 그런데 1 대신에 어를 써서 a fifth 해도 되고요. 5분의 3은 3 fifth s 붙여야죠. fifth s 붙이고요. 그리고 7분의 2는 2 seventh s 붙여야 돼요. 그리고 8분의 3 3 eighths s 붙여야 되고요. 그리고 9분의 4는 뭘까요? 네, 4 하고 ninths s 붙이는 거 조심해 주세요. 네, 분수 읽는 법 알고 나면 어렵지 않죠? 정말 쉬워요. 다만 우리말과 조금 많이 다를 뿐이죠. 다른 부분이 어떻게 다른지만 포인트를 꼭 짚어서 알아두면 어렵지 않아요. 네, 단어 항상 동사 나올 때마다 불규칙 동사 나올 때마다 큰 소리로 따라 읽는 그런 연습이 필요해요. 마치 노래처럼 큰 소리로 따라 읽다 보면 불규칙한 3단 변화가 어느 순간 머릿속에 쏙쏙 들어와 있을 거니까요. 자, 한번 큰 소리로 따라 읽어봐요. Swing, swing, swung. Stride, strode, stridden. Blow, blew, blown. Slide, slid, slid. Tear, tore, torn. Fly, flew, flown. Hide, hid, hidden. 여기서 잠깐 tear, 눈물이라는 단어와 똑같은 tear이라는 동사가 나왔죠. tear은 눈물이고요. tear, 찢다라는 동사로 쓰일 때는 발음을 tear이 아니라 tear 이렇게 발음해야 돼요. tear, tore, torn. 네, 꼭 기억해 주세요. 큰 소리로 한 번 더 따라 해봐요. swing, swing, swung. stride, strode, stridden. blow, blew, blown. slide, slid, slid. tear, tore, torn. fly, flew, flown. hide, hid, hidden. 네, 텔의 뜻 세 가지 말하다, 알리다, 구별하다까지 있다는 점 꼭 기억해 주세요. 지난 시간에 이어 이번 시간에도 나왔기 때문에 꼭 기억해 주세요. 워크의 뜻 세 가지, 일하다, 효과가 있다, 일, 노동, 예술 작품 이렇게 세 가지 뜻이 있어요. 동사일 때는 일하다와 효과가 있다, 작동이 잘 된다 이런 뜻이 있고요. 명사일 때는 일과 노동 그리고 예술 작품이란 뜻도 되니까 해석할 때 조심해 주세요. 룸의 뜻 세 가지, 방, 공간, 여지, 여유. 네, 오늘도 룸이 네, 반복되더라고요. term의 뜻 세 가지. 네, 새 학기가 시작된다. 이번 학기 잘 보내. 라는 2번 뜻으로 챕터 6에서 쓰였는데요. term의 뜻 세 가지 정도는 꼭 알아둬야 돼요. 사전을 찾아보면 term의 뜻이 엄청 많이 나오거든요. 하지만 1번 기간, 2번 학기, 3번 용어, 전문 용어 있잖아요. 뭐 의학 용어, 경제 용어, 시사 용어 이렇게 용어를 나타낼 때도 term이라는 단어를 쓴다는 거, 이 세 가지는 기본적으로 꼭 알아둬야 돼요. 컴퍼니의 뜻 세 가지, 네, 지난 챕터에서도 했었는데요. 한 번 더 반복해봐요. 회사에서 동료는 친구가 될 수 있다. 네, 이렇게 스토리텔링 식으로 나만의 이야기를 만들어서 외우면 단어가 훨씬 쉽게 잘 외워져요. 회사 동료는 친구가 될 수 있다. 회사에서 맨날 보는 동료는 친구가 될 수 있죠. 물론 사이가 안 좋으면 왼수가 될 수도 아니 사이좋게 지내야겠죠. fine의 뜻, 우리 How are you? I'm fine, thanks. 이렇게 말하죠. And you? 잘 지내니? 나 잘 지내. 너는? 막 이럴 때 fine, I'm fine. 뭔가요? 좋아, 잘 지내 라는 fine 3번의 뜻이죠. 하지만 1번과 2번 뜻도 정말 많이 나오니까요. fine의 뜻 세 가지 꼭 기억해 주세요. fine, 벌금이란 뜻도 있고요. 미세한, 아주 작은 이란 뜻이 있어요. 그래서 우리가 프린트할 때 종이와 잉크를 아끼려고 fine print 하는 경우가 있거든요. 네, fine print 하면 글씨가 그러니까 한 페이지에 막 5페이지, 6페이지까지 막 하고 정말 글씨가 엄청 fine해져요. 미세하게 작아져요. 그래서 fine의 뜻 세 가지, 벌금, 미세한, 작은, 좋은. 이번 챕터 6에서는 2번 뜻, 미세한, 작은 이런 뜻으로 쓰였더라고요. 그럼 fine의 뜻 세 가지요. I'm fine 이거밖에 모르겠어요. 1번, 2번 잘 안 외워져요 라고 하는 친구들을 위해서 제가 일부러 이렇게 1, 2, 3 뜻을 이 순서대로 썼는데 한번 들어보세요. 벌금이 뭘 잘못해서 벌금을 내야 돼요. 물론 벌금 낼 일이 있으면 안 되겠지만 벌금이 생각보다 미세하게 작게 나온 거예요. 조금 나온 거예요. 그러면 훨씬 기분이 좋겠죠. 그래서 벌금이 작으면 좋다. 벌금은 미세하고 작을수록 좋다. 이런 뜻 이렇게 말을 만들어서 외워봤어요. fine의 뜻 벌금, 미세한, 작은, 좋은. while의 뜻 두 가지, 뭐뭐 하는 동안, 뭐뭐 하는 반면에 전혀 다른 의미를 갖고 있죠. 그래서 문장 속에서 어떤 뜻으로 쓰였는지 우리말답게, 언어답게 해석을 해서 눈치껏 맞춰봐야 돼요. 저는 눈치가 없어요. 눈치채는 게 제일 어려워요. 라고 하시더라도 while의 뜻 두 가지 구별할 수 있을 거예요. 한번 살펴볼까요? 네, 챕터 6에 나온 부분이죠. Dudley was now so scared of Harry, he wouldn't stay in the same room, while Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon. 네, so 형용사 부사, that 주어 동사, so that 구문이라고 하는데요. 너무나 형용사 부사에서 그 결과 주어 동사 하다, 원인과 결과 관계, 인과관계라고도 할 수 있는데요. 더들리는 이제 so scared of Harry, 해리가 너무 무서워서 그 결과 어떻게 했나요? wouldn't stay, 머무르려고 하지 않았어요. in the same room. 네, 여기서 room은 룸의 세 가지 뜻 중에 뭘까요? 1번 방이라는 뜻일까요? 같은 방에 머무르려고 하지 않았어요 라고 해도 틀리진 않는데 제가 볼 때는 공간이라고 해석하는 게 더 좋을 것 같아요. 같은 공간에도 있으려고 하지 않았어요. 같은 공간에 머무르려고 하지 않았어요. 정말 한순간이라도 같이 뭐 복도에서 만났다, 뭐 주방에서 만났다, 다 저들이가 막 비명 지르면서 도망을 치는 거죠. 그런데 반면에가 자연스럽겠죠. while의 뜻, 뭐만 동안에가 아니라 반면에 Aunt Petunia하고 Uncle Vernon, 페투니아 이모랑 버논 이모부는 어떻게 했냐면요. 네, 책 본문에 나오죠. 그냥 아무런 말도 하지 않아요. 네, 그냥 해리가 없는 사람 취급을 해요. 네, 띵 플러스 형용사 어순 주의하라고 계속해서 반복하죠. 우리 조엔 작가님이 아마 영어 공부, 영어권에서도 당연히 우리가 국어 공부를 하듯이 영어권에서도 영어 공부를 하는 거죠. 그래서 공부가 잘 되도록, 해리포터 정말 재밌는데 재밌게 읽다 보면 어느새 공부까지 실력까지 쑥쑥 늘어나도록 이렇게 책을 너무 재밌게 또 훌륭하게 잘 써주신 것 같아요. You never get anything new either 이라는 문장이 나와요. You never get anything new either with five brothers. 너는 이제 론이 얘기하는 거죠. 위즐리 론이 너는 결코 새 것을 얻지 못할 거야. with five brothers 뭐 한다면요? 5명의 형제들과. 네, 네, 정말 위로 형이 정말 5명이나 있으면 실제로 맞아요. 초등학교 때 기억나는데요. 내 짝꿍이 형이 정말 5명이 있었어요. 그 친구는 항상 옷이 소매가 다 낡아서 떨어져 있는 옷만 입고 왔었어요. 왜냐면 같은 남자니까 옷을 계속해서 물려 입는 거예요. 그런데 형이 첫 번째 형, 두 번째 형, 세 번째 형, 네 번째, 5번째 형까지 옷을 입고 그 친구는 6번째니까 옷이 정말 낡을 대로 낡았는데도 엄마가 새 옷을 사주지 않았대요. You never get anything new either with five brothers. 또한 역시 너 또한 역시 새로운 거 얻지 못하지 5명의 형제가 있다면 이라고 해리는 다 새 것으로 장만했는데 같은 학년, 같은 신입생인 론이 어땠어요? 네, 다 낡은 지팡이와 교복을 입고 있었죠. 형들한테 물려받은 것이죠. 또한 역시라고 말할 때 긍정문 다음엔 to를 쓰고요. 이렇게 never 이라는 부정문이 있죠. 그럴 땐 either를 쓴다는 거, 그것도 꼭 기억해 주세요. terrified, 무서운, furious, 화난. 네, 앞에서 너들리는 해리만 보면 막 경기를 일으키고 소리를 지르고 고함을 치면서 도망을 갔죠. 그런데 버넌 이모부하고 페투니아 이모는 그냥 아예 해리한테 아무런 말을 하지 않아요. 소리치지도 않고 심지어 야 너 뭐야 막 머리 빗어 막 이런 말도 하지 않아요. 그리고 컵보드 찬장방에 가두지도 않아요. 대신 그냥 아무 말 안 하고 해리가 있어서 없는 척 하고 있어요. 그 이유는 아무래도 반반의 이유가 있어요. 반반. 양념 반, 프라이드 반. 그게 아니고 무서운 거 반, 화난 반, terrified 반, furious 반. 무섭기도 하고 화가 나기도 했겠죠. improvement는 향상, 좋아지는 거죠. 네, 영어 시험이 50점 맞다가 100점 맞으면 improvement가 된 거죠. 네, 향상되고 좋아진 거. 그러니까 해리 입장에서는 이모랑 이모부가 더 이상 막 욕하고 소리치거나 자기를 찬장방에 가두거나 하지 않으니까 향상된 거죠. 더 좋아진 거죠. improvement한데 또 한편으로는 depressing 한기도 하죠. 왜냐면 너무 자기가 없는 사람 취급을 하니까. 그래서 이제 자기 방에서 부엉이하고 놀죠. 그리고 예습을 하더라고요. 교과서. 새 학기가 시작되기 전에 새 교과서를 받잖아요. 그러면 방학 기간 동안 그 교과서를 싹 다 읽어보는 거예요. 너무너무 재밌죠. 네, 안 그런가요? 저만 그랬나요? 네, 제가 학교 다닐 때 그랬었거든요. 교과서를 받아서 집에 오면 방학 내내 그 교과서를, 전과목 교과서를 읽고 또 읽는 거예요. 너무 재밌는 거죠. 잘 모르는 부분이 나오면 선생님 뭐라고 설명해 주실까 기대하면서 읽고 했죠. 네, 옛날 생각이 나네요. 꺽, 앳. 꺽, 앳은 뭔가요? 꺽, 앳은 넉놓고 바라보고 꺽, 앳. 네. 우리가 단어 외울 때 감정을 실어서 외우면 훨씬 좋죠. 꺽, 앳. 누군가를 넉놓고 바라보는 그런. 해리의 이마의 상처 때문에 해리가 땀이 나서 이마를 쓱 닦았더니 이마에 있는 그 번개 모양의 무늬가 아니라 흉터를 이제 친구들이 발견하죠. 그래서 그거 넉놓고 바라보죠. 아니 저 이마의 흉터는 전설의 그 해리포터라고 생각하고 아이들이 넉넉히 바라봤겠죠. Behave oneself, behave yourself, 얌전히 행동해라. 엄마가 그렇게 말하죠. 론의 엄마가 behave oneself, behave yourself, 얌전히 행동해 라고 하죠. behave가 행동하다인데요. 여기에 oneself는 내가 얌전히 행동하면 behave myself고요. 너니까 yourself고요. 그라면 himself겠죠. 네, 여기 목적격을 써서 제귀 대명사라고도 하는데요. 스스로, self 앞에 목적격을 써줘야 돼요. 그래서 behave yourself, 목적격이 아니라 소유격이네요. behave oneself. 그리고 look after는 뭘까요? look after는 돌보다겠죠. 돌보다. 그래서 동생을 잘 돌봐라 이런 이야기를 하는데요. 네, 이 해리포터의 첫 번째 책에서는 해리포터가 베이컨을 돌보고 있었죠. 아침 식사를 준비하는 담당으로 해리가 일했기 때문에 근데 소세지랑 베이컨이 타지 않도록 look after bacon 이모가 소리를 질렀던 장면도 생각나네요. stern은 엄격한이고요. remind A of B는 A에게 B를 생각나게 하다. 조심할 게 A는 사람이고요. B는 생각나는 대상이에요. remind A of B, A에게 B를 생각나게 하다. keep your hair on. 너의 머리를 on, keep on, 뭔가 유지해라. 그러니까 머리가 막 헝클어지거나 산발이 되거나 하지 않게 머리카락을 단정히 하는 걸까요? keep your hair on은 take it easy, 진정해라 라는 뜻 같아요. take it easy, keep your hair on. 엄마가 막 아이들의 장난과 그런 것 때문에 정신없어서 막 소리치고 하니까 아이들이 엄마한테 keep your hair on, 진정하세요 어머니 라고 말을 하죠. 정말 아이들을 뭐 7남매 이렇게 키우는 건 힘든 일 같아요. large of는 large of와 같은 뜻이에요. loud가 어떤 덩어리란 뜻인데요. 덩어리들이 막 있어요. 그러면 large of의 뜻이 되겠죠. 많은. opposite은 반대의 라는 뜻이에요. 반대편에 있는 opposite, 반대편. opposite seat. 해리 반대편에 이제 론이 앉죠. pretend는 뭐뭐인 채 하다, 뭐뭐인 척 하는 거죠. 배고픈데 배 안 고픈 척 한다든지, 배부른데 배 안 부른 척 한다든지, 짜증나는데 짜증 안 나는 척 한다든지, 뭐뭐한 척 하는 거는 실제와 다르게 행동하는 거죠. live up to는, live는 살다인데 up to, 위로 올리는 거죠. 끌어올리는 느낌이죠. live up to. 기대에 부응하여 살다, 이상에 맞춰 살다 이런 거죠. 부모님이 와, 정말 너는 잘할 수 있어. 그러면 기대에 부응해서 사는 거고요. 이상에 맞춰 사는 거. 나는 이런 사람이 되고 싶어라고 이상을 현실보다 더 높은 이상을 세웠어요. 근데 거기에 맞춰 살려고 막 열심히 노력하는 거 live up to라고 하고요. prefect는 반장 대표는 뜻이에요. perfect 완벽한 perfect하고 너무 헷갈리더라고요. 근데 prefect pre는 어디 앞에 이런 뜻이에요. 반장이나 대표가 항상 맨 앞에 서서 이제 친구들을 잘 끌고 다니죠. 그런 것처럼 반장 나와! 대표가 누구지? 반장이 맨 앞에 서서 있는 그런 상황을 생각하면서 pre는 맨 앞에 앞쪽에 란 뜻이에요. prefect, 반장, 대표. 그리고 compartment는 compart가 나눈다라는 거죠. part, part, 부분이죠. 부분 나누는 건데요. compartment 하면 칸막이, 객실 이런 뜻이고요. afford는 뭐뭐 할 여유가 있는. 그래서 론이 부모님이 여유가 없다 이런 말까지 해버리죠. 해리한테. 처음 만난 해리한테. proper, 적절한 이란 뜻인데요. 여기선 제대로 된. 해리가 그래서 론이 막 당황하니까 내가 왜 이런 말까지 했지? 우리 집안 창피한 얘긴데? 라고 당황할 때 해리가 자기 이야기죠. 야, 나도 완전 거지같이 살았어. 난 있잖아. 지금까지 제대로 된 proper birthday present. 적절한 제대로 된 생일 선물 한번 받아본 적 없다니까? 이런 이야기를 하니까 론이 그제서야 안심을 하고 더 친근하게 친구가 된 것 같아요. 서로 친구가 되기 위해서는 잘난 척만 해서는 어렵고 서로의 어려운 부분을 이해하고 공감해주는 거 그런 게 친구 되는 방법인 것 같아요. 그렇지 않나요? Now that 이제는 뭐뭐니까 뭐뭐 때문에 란 뜻이고요. He had never had any money for candy with the Dudley and now that he had pockets rattling with gold and silver. 네, 예전에는 결코 돈이 없었어요. 캔디 살 돈, 사탕 살 돈이 없었죠. 누구랑 함께 살 때였죠? with the Dudley. 더즐리 가족과 살 때 해리에게 용돈이 어디 있었겠어요. 그쵸? 맨날 일만 부려먹고 용돈 한 푼 주지 않았고 매일 낡은 것들만 물려줬었죠. 그런데 이제는 now that 이제는 뭐뭐 하니까 뭐뭐 때문에 because의 뜻도 될 수 있거든요. 지금은 어때요? He had pocket. 그는 주머니에 rattling 달그락 거리다 라는 뜻이에요. with gold and silver. 와, 금과 은의 동전들이 달그락거리다 라는 문장이 있고 그래서 이제 그걸로 간식 코너에 가서 사 먹으려는 장면이 나오죠. 네, 실버 뒤에 동전들 생략됐고요. 네, 그래서 now that이란 단어가 now도 알고 that도 아는데 이런 단어들이 외우기 좀 어렵다 하는 친구들이 있어요. 그래서 now that 이제는 뭐뭐니까 뭐뭐 때문에 because 이렇게 연결해서 꼭 반복해 보세요. Don't tell me 말하지 마세요. 나에게 말하지 마. 이런 뜻이 기본 뜻이고요. 설마 너 그렇게 말하지 마. 설마 이런 뜻이죠. Help yourself 마음껏 드세요 라는 뜻이에요. 맛있게 드세요. 많이 드세요 할 때 식당에서 손님에게 많이 쓰죠. Help yourself. 론이 이제 해리가 한 보따리 간식들을 사온 걸 보고 론이 엄청 부러워하는데요. 그런데 론이 해리의 눈치를 보니까 해리가 론한테 하는 말이죠. Help yourself. 마음껏 먹어. 마음껏 골라 먹어 라고 하죠. 근데 또 그리고 해리가 론한테 물어보는 것 중에 너네 큰형은 뭐해? 라고 할 때 What do you do? 라고 해요. What are you doing? 하면 너 지금 뭐하니? 뭐하는 거야? What are you doing? 이런데 What do you do는 하는 일이 뭐니? 그러니까 직업이 뭐니? 이런 뜻이에요. 그래서 이거 조심해야 돼요. What do you do? 뭐하고 있니? 라고 이해하시면 절대 안 돼요. 항상 언제나 하고 있는 거기 때문에 하는 일, 직업을 뜻하죠. What do you do? 하는 일이 뭐니? 직업이 뭐니? Love of on, 사람에게 물들다란 뜻이에요. Love of on까지 해서 Love of on, 사람 이런 표현으로 누구에게 물들다. 네, 정말 뭐지? 기분 나쁜 말투로 멜포이가 해리한테 하는 말이죠. 너 해그리드나 저런 위즐리 가족들하고 놀지 마. 물든다고 라고 얘기를 해주죠. At once, 즉시 당장. At last는 마침내, finally의 뜻이죠. At once, at last. 좀 쉬워 보이지만 의외로 우리가 뜻을 정확히 알기가 쉽지 않은 단어일 수도 있어요. 그래서 꼭 정리하고 외우고 넘어가 주세요. At once, 즉시 당장. At last, 마침내, finally의 뜻이에요. 비교급 강조하는 거 한번 또 따라해 볼까요? much, even, still, far, a lot, 비교급. 훨씬 더 뭐뭐한. much, even, still, far, a lot. 한 번 더. much, even, still, far, a lot. 비교급 강조할 때 쓰는 표현이죠. 훨씬 더 뭐뭐한. 그리고 lot는 속이 울렁거리다. lot. 속이 한번 울렁거리는 상황을 느껴보면서 lot. 속이 울렁거리다 해보세요. perch는 높은 곳에 앉아있다, 횃대 이런 뜻이고요. 새나 이런 것들이 높은 곳에 앉아있죠. perch. 앉아있다, 동사일 때는 그런 뜻이고요. 명사일 때는 횃대라는 뜻이 있어요. 네, 지금까지 단어와 표현들 살펴봤는데요. 챕터 6의 마지막 문장 한번 살펴보고 read after me 시간 갖도록 할게요. Hagrid raised a gigantic fist and knocked 3 time on the castle door. 해그리드가 raise 올렸죠. gigantic 거대한 fist는 주먹이에요. 해그리드가 워낙 고인이잖아요. 그러니까 주먹도 당연히 gigantic 했겠죠. 거대한 주먹으로 knock 두드렸죠. 3 times on the castle door. 그 성의 성문을 3번 두드린 거예요. 3 times. time의 뜻 3가지. 1번 시간, 2번 몇 배, 2배, 3배. 만약에 3 times가 3배라는 뜻으로도 쓰였겠죠? 3배를 두드렸다라기보단 3번 두드렸다가 좀 더 자연스럽겠죠? 그래서 이번에 쓰인 times는 번에 해당되겠죠. 3번 뜻. 그래서 3 times, 3번이나 똑똑똑. 네, 해그리드가 두드리니까 네, 학교 문이 드디어 열렸겠죠. 네, 그래서 챕터 6로 넘어가는 거고요. 챕터 6 마지막 문장이었어요. Read after me 따라 해보고요. 네, 큰 소리로 따라 읽어봐야 해요. Chapter 6 The journey from platform 9 and 3/4. Harry last month with Dudley wasn't fun. True, Dudley was now so scared of Harry he wouldn't stay in the same room, while Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon didn't shut Harry in his trouble. Paul seemed to do anything or shout at him. In fact, they didn't speak to him at all. Half terrified, half furious, they acted as though any chair with Harry in it were empty. Although this was an improvement in many ways, it didn't become a bit depressing after a while. Harry kept to his room with his new owl for company. He had decided to call her Hedwig, a name he had found in a history of magic. His school books were very interesting. He lay on his bed reading late into the night, Hedwig sweeping it out of the open window as she pleased. It was lucky that Aunt Petunia didn't come in to vacuum anymore because Hedwig kept bringing back that mice. Every night before he went to sleep, Harry ticked off another day on the piece of paper he had pinned to the wall, counting down the September the 1st. On the last day of August, he thought he'd better speak to his aunt and uncle about getting to King's Cross Station the next day. So he went down to the living room where they were watching a quiz show on television. He cleared his throat to let them know he was there, and Dudley screamed and ran from the room. Uncle Vernon grunted to show he was listening. I need to be at King's Cross tomorrow to go to Hogwarts. Uncle Vernon grunted again. Would it be alright if you gave me a lift? Grunt. Harry supposed that meant yes. Thank you. He was about to go back upstairs when Uncle Vernon actually spoke. Funny way to get to a wizard school, the train, magic carpet all got punctured, have they? Harry didn't say anything. Where is the school anyway? I don't know, said Harry. Realizing this for the first time, he pulled the ticket Hagrid had given him out of his pocket. I just take the train from platform 9 3/4 at 11 o'clock, he read. He and Uncle stared. Platform what? 9 3/4. Don't talk rubbish, said Uncle Vernon. There is no platform 9 3/4. It's on my ticket. Barking, said Uncle Vernon. Howling mad, a lot of them. You will see. You just wait. All right, we'll take you to King's Cross. We are going up to London tomorrow anyway, or I wouldn't bother. Why are you going to London? Harry asked, trying to keep things friendly. Taking Dudley to the hospital, roaring Uncle Vernon. Got to have that ruddy tail removed before he goes to smelting. Harry woke at 5 o'clock the next morning and was too excited and nervous to go back to sleep. He got up and pulled on his jeans because he didn't want to walk into the station in his wizard robe. His change on the train, he checked his Hogwarts list yet again to make sure he had everything he needed, so that Hedwig was shut safely in her case, and then paced the room, waiting for the Dursley to get up. 2 hours later, Harry's heavy trunk had been loaded into the Dursley car. Aunt Petunia had talked Dudley into sitting next to Harry, and they had set off. They reached King's Cross at 10:30. Uncle Vernon dumped Harry's trunk onto a cart and wheeled it into the station for him. Harry thought this was strangely kind until Uncle Vernon stopped dead, facing the platform with a nasty grin on his face. Well, there you are, boy, platform 9, platform 10. Your platform should be somewhere in the middle, but they don't seem to have built in yet, do they? He was quite right, of course. There was a big plastic number 9 over one platform, and a big plastic number 10 over the one next to it, and in the middle, nothing at all. Have a good time, said Uncle Vernon with an even nastier smile. He left without another word. Harry turned and saw the Dursley drive away. All three of them were laughing. Harry's mouth went rather dry. What on earth was he going to do? He was starting to attract a lot of funny books because of Hedwig. He'd have to ask someone. He started off passing guard, but didn't dare mention platform 9 3/4. The guard had never heard of Hogwarts, and when Harry couldn't even tell him what part of the country he was in, he started to get annoyed, as though Harry was being stupid on purpose. Getting desperate, Harry asked for the train that left at 11 o'clock, but the guard said there wasn't one. In the end, the guard strolled away, muttering about time wasters. Harry was now trying hard not to panic. According to the large clock over the arrival board, he had 10 minutes left to get on the train to Hogwarts, and he had no idea how to do it. He was standing in the middle of the station with a trunk he could hardly lift, a pocket full of wizard money, and a large owl. Hagrid must have forgotten to tell him something you had to do, like tapping the third brick on the left to get into Diagon Alley. He wondered if he should get out of his room and start tapping the ticket inspectors stand between platform 9 and 10. At the moment, a group of people passed just behind him, and he caught a few words of what they were saying, packed with muggles, of course. Harry swung round. The speaker was a plump woman who was talking to 4 boys, all with flaming red hair, each of them with pushing a trunk like Harry's in front of him. They had an owl. Heart hammering, Harry pushed his cart after them. They stopped, and so did he, just near enough to hear what they were saying. Now what's the platform number? Said the boy's mother. 9 3/4, piped the small boy, also red-headed, who was holding her hand. Mom, can't I go? You are not old enough, Ginny. Now be quiet. All right, Percy, you go first. What looked like the oldest boy marched toward platform 9 and 10. Harry watched it, careful not to blink in case he missed it. But just as the boy reached the diving barrier between two platforms, a large crowd of tourists came swarming in front of him, and by the time the last backpack had cleared away, the boy had vanished. Fred, you next, the plump woman said. I'm not Fred, I'm Georgie, said the boy. Honestly, woman, you call yourself our mother? Can't you tell I'm Georgie? Sorry, Georgie dear. Only joking. Only joking. I'm Fred, said the boy, and off he went. His twin called after him to hurry up, and he must have done so because a second later he had gone, but how had he done it? Now the third brother was walking brisk toward the barrier. He was almost there, and then, quite suddenly, he wasn't anywhere. There was nothing else for it. Excuse me, Harry said to plump woman. Hello, dear, she said. First time at Hogwarts? Runs new, too. She pointed at the last and youngest of her sons. He was tall, thin, and gangling, with freckles, big hands and feet, and long nose. Yes, said Harry. The thing is, I don't know how to get on the platform, she said kindly, and Harry nodded. Not to worry, she said. All you have to do is walk straight at the barrier between platform 9 and 10. Don't stop and don't be scared, you will crash into it. That's very important. Best do it at a bit of run. If you're nervous, go on, go now before run. Oh, okay, said Harry. He pushed his trolley around and stared at the barrier. It looked very tall. He started to walk toward it. People jostled him on their way to platform 9 and 10. Harry walked more quickly. He was going to smash right into that barrier, and then he'd be in trouble. Leaning forward on his cart, he broke into a heavy run. The barrier was coming nearer and nearer. He wouldn't be able to stop. The cart was out of control. He was a foot away. He closed his eyes, ready for the crash. It didn't come. He kept on running. He opened his eye. A scarlet steam engine was waiting next to a platform packed with people. A sign overhead said, Hogwarts Express, 11 o'clock. Harry looked behind him and saw a wrought iron archway where the barrier had been, with the word platform 9 and 3/4 on it. He had done it. Smoke from the engine drifted over the heads of the chattering crowd. Wildcats of every color wound here and there between their legs, owl-footed to one another in a disgruntled sort of a way over the babble and the scraping heavy trunks. The first few carriages were already packed with students, some hanging out of the window to talk to their families, some fighting over seats. Harry pushed his cart off down the platform in search of an empty seat. He passed a round-faced boy who was saying, Gran, I've lost my tooth again. No, oh, Neville, he heard the old woman sigh. A boy with dreadlocks was surrounded by a small crowd. Give us a look, please, go on. The boy lifted the lid of a box in his arm, and the people around him shrieked and yelled as something inside poked out a long, hairy leg. Harry pressed on through the crowd until he found an empty compartment near the end of the train. He put Hedwig inside first, and then started to shout and hit his trunk toward the train door. He tried to lift it up the steps, but could hardly raise one end, and twice he dropped it painfully on his foot. Want a pen? Want a hand? It was one of the red-haired twins he'd followed through the barrier. Yes, please, Harry panted. Oh, Fred, come here and help. With the twins' help, Harry Trunks was at last tucked away in a corner of the compartment. Thanks, said Harry, pushing his sweaty hair out of his eyes. What's that? Said one of the twins, suddenly pointing at Harry's lightning skull. A flame, said the other twin. Are you? He is, said the first twin. Aren't you? He handed it to Harry. What? Said Harry. Harry Potter, chorused the twin. Oh, him, said Harry. I mean, yes, I am. The two boys gurgled him. Harry felt himself turning red. Then, to his relief, a voice came floating in through the train's open door. Fred, Georgie, are you there? Coming, Mom. With a last look at Harry, the twins hopped off the train. Harry sat down next to the window where, half hidden, he could watch the red-haired family on the platform and hear what they were saying. Their mother had just taken out her handkerchief. Ron, you've got something on your nose. The youngest boy tried to chuck off the way, but she grabbed him and began rubbing the end of his nose. Mom, get up! He wriggled free. Oh, has Uncle Ronnie got something on his nose? Said one of the twins. Shut up, said Ron. Where's Percy? Said their mother. He's coming now. The oldest boy came striding into sight. He had already changed into his belonging black Hogwarts robe, and Harry noticed a shiny silver badge on his chest with the letter P on it. Can't stay long, Mother, he said. I'm up front. The Perfects have got 2 compartments to themselves. Oh, are you a Perfect? Percy, said one of the twins with an air of great surprise. You should have said something. We had no idea. Hang on, I think I remember him saying something about it, said the other twin. Once or twice. A minute. All summer. Oh, shut up, said the Perfect. How come Percy gets new robes anyway, said one of the twins. Because he's a Perfect, said their mother fondly. All right, dear. Well, have a good time. Send me an owl when you get there. She kissed Percy on the cheek and he left. Then she turned to the twins. Now, you two, this year you behave yourselves. If I get a more owl telling me you've blown up a toilet or blown up toilet? We've never blown up toilet. Great idea, though. Thanks, Mom. It's not funny. And look at Ron. Don't worry, Uncle Ronikis is safe with us. Shut up, said Ron again. He was almost as tall as the twins already, and his nose was still pink where his mother had rubbed it. Hey, Mom, guess what? Guess who we just met on the train? Harry leaned back quickly so they couldn't see him looking. You know that black-haired boy who was near us in the station? No, who? He is. Who? Harry Potter. Harry heard the little girl's voice. Oh, Mom! Can I go on the train and see him, Mom? Please! You've already seen him, Ginny. And the poor boy isn't something you Google at in a zoo. Is he really? Fred? How do you know? Ask him. Saw his skull. It's really there, like lightning. Poor dear. No wonder he was alone. I wonder. He was ever so polite when he asked how to get onto the platform. Never mind that. Do you think he remembered what you-know-who looks like? Their mother suddenly became very stern. I forbid you to ask him, Fred. No, don't you dare. As though he needs reminding of that on his first day at school. All right, keep your hair on. A whistle sounded. Hurry up, their mother said. And the 3 boys clambered onto the train. They leaned out of the window for her to kiss them goodbye, and their younger sister began to cry. Don't, Ginny, we'll send you lots of owls. We'll send you a Hogwarts toilet seat. Georgie! Only joking, Mom. The train began to move. Harry saw the boys' mother waving and their sister had laughing, had crying, running to keep up with the train until it gathered too much speed. Then she fell back and wiggled. Harry watched the girl and her mother disappear as the train rounded the corner. Houses flashed past the window. Harry felt a great relief of excitement. He didn't know what he was going through, but it had to be better than what he was leaving behind. The door of the compartment slid open, and the youngest red-headed boy came in. "Anyone sitting there?" he asked, pointing at the seat opposite Harry. "Everywhere else is full." Harry shook his head and the boy sat down. He glanced at Harry and then looked quickly out of the window. Pretending he didn't look, Harry saw he still had the black mark on his nose. "Hey, Ron!" The twins were back. "Listen, we are going down the middle of the train. Lee Jordan's got a giant tarantula down there." "Right," mumbled Ron. "Harry," said the other twin, "did we introduce ourselves? Fred and Georgie Weasley, and this is Ron, our brother. See you later then." "Bye," said Harry and Ron. The twins slid the compartment door shut behind them. "Are you really Harry Potter?" Ron blurted out. Harry nodded. "Oh, well, I thought it might be one of Fred and Georgie's jokes," said Ron. "And have you really got to know?" He pointed at Harry's forehead. Harry pulled back his bang to show the lightning scar. Ron stared. "So that's where you know who—" "Yeah," said Harry, "but I can't remember it." "Nothing?" said Ron eagerly. "Well, I remember a lot of green light, but nothing else." "Wow," said Ron. He sat and stared at Harry for a few moments, then, as though he had suddenly realized what he was doing, he looked quickly out of the window again. "Are all your family wizards?" asked Harry, who found Ron just as interesting as Ron found him. "Oh, yes, I think so," said Ron. "I think Mom's got a second cousin who's an accountant, but we never talk about him." "So you must know loads of magic already?" The Weasleys were clearly one of those old wizarding families the pale boy in Diagon Alley had talked about. "I heard you went to live with Muggles," said Ron. "What are they like?" "Horrible." "Well, not all of them. My aunt and uncle and cousin are, though. Wish I had 3 wizard brothers." "5," said Ron. For some reason he was looking gloomy. "I'm the 6th in our family to go to Hogwarts. You could say I've got a lot to live up to. Bill and Charlie have already left. Bill was head boy and Charlie was captain of Quidditch. Now Percy's perfect. Fred and Georgie mess around a lot, but they still get really good marks, and everyone thinks they are really funny. Everyone expects me to do as well as the others, but if I do, it's no big deal, because they did it first. You never get anything new, either, with 5 brothers. I've got Bill's old robe, Charlie's old one, and Percy's old rat." Ron reached inside his jacket and pulled out a fat gray rat, which was asleep. "His name's Scabbers, and he's useless. He hardly ever wakes up. Percy got an hour from my dad for being made of perfect, but they couldn't offer me. I got Scabbers instead." Ron's ears went pink. He seemed to think he said too much, because he went back to staring out of the window. Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford an owl. After all, he never had any money in his life until a month ago, and he told Ron so all about having to wear Dudley's old clothes and never getting proper birthday presents. This seemed to cheer Ron up. "And until Hagrid told me, I didn't know anything about being a wizard, about my parents or Voldemort." Ron gasped. "What?" said Harry. "You said you know whose name," said Ron, sounding both shocked and impressed. I have thought you of all people." "I'm not trying to be brave or anything, saying the name," said Harry. "I just never knew you shouldn't. See what I mean? I've got loads to learn, I bet," he added, voicing for the first time something that had been worrying him a lot lately. "I bet I'm the worst in the class." You won't be. There's a lot of people who come from Muggle families, and they learn quickly enough. While they had been talking, the train had carried them out of London. Now they were speeding past fields full of cows and sheep. They were quiet for a time, watching the fields and lanes flick past. Around 12:30, there was a great clattering outside in the corridor, and smiling, dimpled woman slid back their door and said, "Anything off the cart, dears?" Harry, who hadn't had any breakfast, leapt to his feet, but Ron's ears went pink again, and he muttered that he'd brought sandwiches. Harry went out into the corridor. He had never had any money for candy with the Dursleys, and now that he had pockets rattling with gold and silver, he was ready to buy as many Mars bars as he could carry. But the woman didn't have Mars bars. What she did have were bitter buds, every flavor being double best blowing gum, chocolate fruit, pumpkin pasties, Holden cakes, licorice one, and a number of other strange things Harry had never seen in his life. Not wanting to miss anything, he got some of everything and paid the woman 11 silver sickles and 7 bronze knucks. Ron stared at Harry, brought it all back into the compartment, and tipped it onto an empty seat. "Hungry, are you?" "Starving," said Harry, taking a large bite out of a pumpkin pasty. Ron had taken out a lumpy package and unwrapped it. There were 4 sandwiches inside. He pulled one of them apart and said, "She always forgets I don't like corned beef." "Swap, you for one of these," said Harry, holding up a pasty. "Go on. You don't want this. It's all dry," said Ron. "She has got much time," he added quickly, with 5 of us. "Go on, have a pasty," said Harry, who had never had anything to share before, or indeed anyone to share it with. It was a nice feeling, sitting there with Ron, eating their way through all Harry's pasties, cakes, and candies. The sandwiches lay forgotten. "What are these?" Harry asked Ron, holding up a pack of chocolate fruit. "They are not really fruit, are they?" He was starting to feel that nothing would surprise him. "No," said Ron, "but see what the card is. I'm missing a gripper." "What?" "Oh, of course you wouldn't know. Chocolate fruit have cards. Inside them, to collect famous witches and wizards. I've got about 500, but I haven't got a gripper or Tommy." Harry unwrapped his chocolate frog and picked up the card. It showed a man's face. He wrote "Half Moon Glasses," had a long crooked nose and flowing silver hair, beard, and mustache. Underneath the picture was the name Albus Dumbledore. "So this is Dumbledore," said Harry. "Don't tell me you'd never heard of Dumbledore," said Ron. "Can I have a frog?" "Might get Agrippa, thanks." Harry turned over his card and read, Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts. Considered by many the greatest wizard of modern time, Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the Dark Wizard, Grindelwald, in 1945, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner, Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoyed chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Harry turned the card back over and saw, to his astonishment, that Dumbledore's face had disappeared. "He's gone!" "Well, you can't expect him to hang around all day," said Ron. "He'll be back." "No, I've got Morgana again. I've got about 6 of her. Do you want it? You can start collecting." Ron's eyes strayed to the pile of chocolate fruit waiting to be unwrapped. "Help yourself," said Harry. "But in, the Muggle world, people just stay put in photos." "Do they?" "What? They don't move at all." Ron sounded amazed. Weird. Harry stared at Dumbledore, slided back into the picture on his card, and gave him a small smile. Ron was more interested in eating the frog than looking at the famous witches and wizard card. But Harry couldn't keep his eyes off them. Soon he had not only Dumbledore and Morgana, but Hedges of Woodcroft, Albericronian, Sirs, Curse, Paracelsus, and Murray. He finally tore his eyes away from the Duderis Gleander, who was scratching her nose to open a bag of multiple every flavor bean. You want to be careful with those, warned Harry. When they say every flavor, they mean every flavor, you know. You get all the ordinary ones like chocolate and peppermint and marmalade, but then you can get spinach and liver and tripe. Georgie reckoned he had a booger-flavored one once. Ron picked up a green bean, looked at it carefully, and bit into a corner. Rare seed sprouts. They had a good time eating the every flavor bean. Harry got toast, coconut, baked bean, strawberry, curry, grass, coffee, cereal, and was even brave enough to nibble the end of a funny gray one. Ron wouldn't touch with tongue out of the big pepper. The countryside now flying past the window was becoming wilder. The neat field had gone. Now there were woods, twisting rivers, and dark green hills. There was a knock on the door. The compartment and the round-faced boy Harry had passed on platform 9 3/4 came in. He looked tearful. Sorry, he said, but have you seen a toad at all? When they shook their heads, he wailed, I've lost him. He keeps getting away from me. He will turn up, said Harry. Yes, said the boy miserably. Well, if you see him, he laughed. Don't know why he's so bothered, said Ron. If I brought a toad, I'd lose it as quick as I could. Mind you, I brought Scabbard, so I can't talk. The rat was still snoozing on Ron's lap. He might have died and you wouldn't know the difference, said Ron in disgust. I tried to turn him yellow yesterday to make him more interesting, but the spell didn't work. I show you look. He rummaged around in his trunk and pulled out a very battered-looking one. It was chipped in places and something white was glinting at the end. Unicorn hair nearly poking out anyway. He had just raised his own when the compartment door slid open again. The toddlerless boy was back, but this time he had a girl with him. She was already wearing her new Hogwarts robe. Has anyone seen a toad? Neville's lost one, she said. She had a bossy sort of voice, lots of bushy brown hair, and rather large front teeth. We've already told him we haven't seen it, said Ron, but the girl wasn't listening. She was looking at the one in his hand. Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see it then. She sat down. Ron looked taken aback. Oh, all right. He cleared his throat. Sunshine, daisies, buttermellow, turn this stupid red yellow. He waved his wand, but nothing happened. Scabbard stayed gray and fast asleep. Are you sure that's your real spell? Said the girl. Well, it's not very good, is it? I've tried a few simple spells just for practice and it's all worked for me. Nobody in my family is magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter. But I was ever so pleased, of course. I mean, it's the very best school of witchcraft there is. I've learned all our course book by heart. Of course, I just hope it'll be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who are you? She said all this very fast. Harry looked at Ron and was relieved to see by his stunned face that he hadn't learned all the course books by heart either. I'm Ron Weasley, Ron muttered. Harry Potter, said Harry. Are you really? Said Hermione. I know all about you. Of course, I got a few extra books for background reading and your modern magical history and the rise and fall of the dark arts and great wizarding events of the 20th century. Am I? Said Harry, feeling dazed. Goodness, didn't you know? I'd have found out everything I could if it was me, said Hermione. Do either of you know what house you will be in? I've been asking around, and I hope I'm in Gryffindor. It sounds by far the best. I hear Dumbledore himself was in it, but I suppose Ravenclaw wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, we'd better go and look for Neville's toad. You two had better change. You know, I expect we'll be there soon. And she left, taking the toddler's boy with her. Whatever house I'm in, I hope she's not in it, said Ron. He threw his wand back into his trunk. Stupid spell, George gave it to me. Bet he knew it was a dud. What houses are your brothers in? Asked Harry. Gryffindor, said Ron. Gloom seemed to be settling on him again. Mom and Dad were in it too. I don't know what they will say if I'm not. I don't suppose Ravenclaw would be too bad, but imagine if they put me in Slytherin. That's the house bull. Oh, I mean, you know who was in. Yeah, said Ron. He flopped back into his seat, looking depressed. You know, I think the ends of Scabbers with whiskers are a bit lighter, said Harry, trying to take Ron's mind off houses. So what do your eldest brothers do now that they've left anyway? Harry was wondering what a wizard did once he'd finished school. Charlie's in Romania studying dragon, and Bill's in Africa doing something for Gringotts, said Ron. Did you hear about Gringotts? It's been all over the Daily Prophet, but I don't suppose you get that with the muggles. Someone tried to rob high security vault. Harry stared. Really? What happened to them? Nothing. That's why it's such a big news. They haven't been caught. My dad says it must have been a powerful dark wizard to get around Gringotts, but they don't think they took anything that was odd. Of course, everyone gets scared when something like this happens in case you know who's behind it. Harry turned this news over in his mind. He was starting to get a prickle of fear every time you know who was mentioned. He supposed this was all part of entering the magic world, but it had been a lot more comfortable saying Voldemort without worrying. What's your Quidditch team? Ron asked. I don't know any, Harry confessed. What? Ron looked dumbfounded. Oh, you wait, it's the best game in the world. And he was off explaining all about the forward and the position of the seven players, describing famous game he'd been to with his brothers and the broomstick he'd like to get. If he had the money, he was just taking Harry through the fine points of the game when the compartment door slid open yet again, but it was Neville, the toddler's boy, or Hermione Granger this time. Three boys entered, and Harry recognized the middle one at once. It was the pale boy from Madame Malkin's rose shop. He was looking at Harry with a lot more interest than he then showed back in diagonally. Is it true? He said. They are saying all down the train that Harry Potter's in this compartment. So it's you, is it? Yeah, said Harry. He was looking at the other boy. Both of them were thickest and looked extremely mean. Standing on either side of the pale boy, they looked like bodyguards. Oh, this is Crabs and this is Goyle, said the pale boy, carelessly nothing where Harry was looking. And my name's Malfoy, Draco Malfoy. Ron gave a slight cough, which might have been hiding a snigger. Draco Malfoy looked at him. Think my name's funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. My father told me all the Weasleys have red hair, freckles, and more children than they can afford. He turned back to Harry. You will soon find out some wizarding families are much better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there. He held out his hand to shake Harry's, but Harry didn't take it. I think I can tell who the wrong sorts are for myself, thanks, he said coolly. Draco Malfoy didn't go red, but a pink tinge appeared in his pale cheeks. I'd be careful if I were you, Potter, he said slowly. Unless you are a bit politer, you will go the same way as your parents. They didn't know what was good for them either. You hang around with riffraff like the Weasley and that Hagrid, and it will rub off on you. Both Harry and Ron stood up. Say that again, Ron said, his face as red as his hair. Oh, you are going to fight us, are you? Malfoy sneered. Unless you get out now, said Harry, more bravely than he felt, because Crabbe and Goyle were a lot bigger than him or Ron. But we don't feel like leaving, do we, boys? We've eaten all our food, and you still seem to have some. Goyle reached toward Chocolate Frog next to Ron. Ron leapt forward, but before he so much as touched Goyle, Goyle let out a horrible yell. Scabbard the rat was hanging up his finger. Sharp little teeth sunk deep into Goyle's knuckle. Crabbe and Malfoy backed away as Goyle swung Clavers round and round, howling, and when Scabbard finally flew up, hit the window. All three of them disappeared at once. Perhaps they thought there were more rats lurking among the suite, or perhaps they heard footsteps because a second later Hermione Granger had come in. What has been going on? She said, looking at the switch all over the floor and Ron picking up Scabbers by his tail. I think he's been knocked out, Ron said to Harry. He looked closer and Scabbers. No, I don't believe it. He's gone back to sleep. And so he had. You've met Malfoy before? Harry explained about their meeting in Diagon Alley. I've heard of his family, said Ron darkly. They were some of the first to come back to our side after you-know-who disappeared. Said they'd been bewitched. My dad doesn't believe it. He said Malfoy's father didn't need an excuse to go over to the dark side. He turned to Hermione. Can we help you with something? You'd better hurry up and put your robes on. I've just been up to the front of to ask the conductor, and he said we are nearly there. You haven't been fighting, have you? You'll be in trouble before we even get there. Scabbard has been fighting, not us, said Ron, scowling at her. Would you mind leaving while we change? All right, I only came in here because people outside are behaving very childish, racing up and down the corridor, said Hermione in a sniffy voice. And you've got dirt on your nose, by the way, did you know? Ron glared at her as she left. Harry peered out of the window. It was getting dark. He could see mountains and forests under a deep purple sky. The train did seem to be slowing down. He and Ron took off their jacket and pulled on their long black robes. Ron's were a bit short for him. You could see his sneakers underneath them. A voice echoed through the train. We'll be reaching Hogwarts in 5 minutes' time. Please leave your luggage on the train. It will be taken to the school separately. Harry's stomach burst with nervous snore. His soul looked pale under his freckles. They crammed their pocket with the rest of sweeties and joined the crowd, turning the corridor. The train slowed right down and finally stopped. People pushed their way toward the door out on the tiny dark platform. Harry shivered in the cold night air. Then a lamp came hovering over the heads of the students, and Harry heard a familiar voice. First years over here, all right there. Harry? Hagrid's big hairy face beamed over the sea of head. Come on, follow me. Any more? First wheel, mind your step. Now, first wheels, follow me. Slipping and stumping, they followed Hagrid down what seemed to be a steep, narrow path. It was so dark on either side of them, Harry thought there must be thick trees there. Nobody spoke much. Neville, the boy who kept losing his tooth, sniffed once or twice. Yeah, get your first sight of Hogwarts in a second, Hagrid called over his shoulder. Just around this bend here, there was a loud, "Ooh, wow!" The narrow path had opened suddenly onto the edge of a great black lake. Perched atop a high mountain on the other side, its windows sparkling in the starry sky, was a vast castle with many turrets and towers. "No more than to a boat," Hagrid called, pointing to a fleet of little boats sitting in the water by the shore. Harry and Ron were followed into their boat by Neville and Hermione. "Everyone in!" shouted Hagrid, who had the boat to himself. Right then, forward! And the fleet of little boats moved off all at once, gliding across the lake, which was smooth as glass. Everyone was silent, staring up at the great castle overhead. It towered over them as they sailed nearer and nearer to the cliff on which it stood. "Heads down!" yelled Hagrid as first boat reached the cliff. They all bent their heads, and the little boat carried them through a curtain of ivy that hid a wide opening in the cliff face. They were carried along a dark tunnel, which seemed to be taking them right underneath the castle until they reached a kind of underground harbor, where they clambered out onto rocks and pebbles. "Oh, you there! Is this your tooth?" said Hagrid, who was checking the boat as people climbed out of them. "Trevor!" cried Neville briskly, holding out his hand. Then they clambered a passageway in the rock after Hagrid's lamp, coming out at last on smooth, damp grass right in the shadow of the castle. They walked up a flight of stone steps and crowded around the huge oak front door. "Everyone here, you there, still got your tool?" Hagrid raised a gigantic fist and knocked 3 times on the castle door. 네, 챕터 6 드디어 기차를 잘 타고 킹크로스역에서 9와 4분의 3 승강장을 존재하지 않는 그런 승강장에 잘 도착해서 그리고 호그와트 학교에 드디어 호그와트 학교 문 앞에 도착한 내용이 챕터 6 내용이에요. 네, 정말 재밌게 흥미진진하게 또 이제 삼총사 호그와트의 삼총사 해리, 허마이언 그리고 또 누구죠? 론까지 나왔고요. 그리고 그들의 마수인 악당인 멜포이와 친구들 2명까지 나왔네요. 네, Thank you for listening. Catch you later. 다음 시간 챕터 7으로 돌아올게요. See you. Bye bye.